The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is IT department bringing to the forefront for the business growth. And our guest speaker today is Amlesh Kore. He is a senior manager with Cognizant Technology Solutions. Amlesh Kore works as senior manager with Cognizant Technology Solutions in the capability of program manager to manage the delivery of SAP and related enterprise application development and service projects. He has more than 16 years of experience in consulting and management in SAP and ERP fields for clients in US, UK, Europe, and APAC regions. He has demonstrated the alignment of business requirement and technology fitment in verticals like retail, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and high-tech manufacturing through project delivery and consulting. He was also associated with Infosys and L&T in the past. He graduated in mechanical engineering from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and PMP certified from PMI USA. He was a speaker and paper presenter in Project Management National Conference 2011 conducted by PMI India. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Amalesh. Amlesh, your voice is not audible. Can you please check at your end? Amlesh, we have lost audio connectivity from your end. Can you please check? Amlesh, can you redial in probably? I think then we would be able to hear you better. I apologize for the inconvenience. Be online. Speaker will join in soon. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Amalesh, you're audible now. Can you go to the presentation and take over, please?
Yes, sure. Sorry about the problem. Can you hear me now clearly?
Voice is loud and clear, Amalesh. You can continue with the presentation.
Sorry, I just give me another 30 seconds. I'm having another problem while I try to log in. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the technical problem. Welcome to the webinar, IT department bringing to the forefront for the business growth. We will go through the agenda. We'll discuss what is the conventional IT role today, why we are discussing this topic, what is the trend today, why we are thinking trend is changing, what is the rationale, what is the roadmap, what are the challenges and how do we overcome, what is the futuristic model. We'll go through that during the presentation today. I assume most of you directly or indirectly are familiar with how is the day in life in IT department. Typically in the morning when the people come to the office, either they're working on supporting the IT services or they are working on certain projects to be delivered at a certain deadline, certain points. So what people do, come to the office, go through their activities, ensure they are on schedule for the projects that they are committed to deliver. They ensure today's service is up and running, no broken link. If it is there, they fix it. The question is, how long is it going to continue? Yes, it is going to continue even longer. However, is it something IT department would look for the same importance they used to have by doing the same thing 10 years ago? Probably no. We are heading into an era where all conventional IT roles are going to be stereotyped. They are going to be like all these roles are going to be taken for granted. The way when the IT revolution came in the late or I would say early 90s and throughout the decade, where anything that IT does, business used to be thrilled about it, delighted about it. The same thing the IT department does today are going to be seen as a normal scenario. And this is the vision that people are having now, that probably IT department will continue as any other ordinary department and will lose the lust. Which is true, because any area that any new area, any technology area, unless we come up with the innovations, this is going to happen. So the question is, can IT be made more relevant and valuable to the business? The answer is yes. We will see how partnering with business for various strategy definition will change the role of IT. And the organizations that are planning to get the IT departments as a collaborative partner are likely to gain more than their other competitors who will not do it. Many organizations probably already have started doing it. So we'll see today what to do, how to do, and who will do. We need to know that technology can better be deployed by the IT personnel rather than business. Let's look at what are the conventional IT roles today. We can divide them majorly into three areas: managing business information, managing communications, and network server infrastructure management. So what do we do in managing business information? We do the business data maintenance, secure the secret data, various legal reports and audit activities we facilitate. And most importantly, we develop and maintain the applications to cater the business requirement. We support the business for all new business strategies, products, service launch, etc. In the communication part, which is very important, very vital, we keep alive people's email communication. We help business to do the data transfer through electronic data transfer mechanism. Like the webinar we are having now, the IT department helps in audio and video conference, various web-based conference, internet communication, etc. And definitely for these two major areas, the IT department need to maintain the network and server infrastructure, develop them. Those activities are taken up by the IT department. So if we look at the entire role in summary, we are talking about it is all about supporting the business, not leading to the business growth. So have you thought about leveraging IT skill for collaborating with business to propose a new product? Have you ever thought suggesting business for a cost-saving idea, or improvising any service for customer delight? When I say customer delight, means the final customer of the business. These are going to be the changing trend now. I mean, for the IT departments, which are going to survive with their prime importance in the organization. In other words, we'll need to bring IT to the forefront. Currently, IT is a cost center, and we need to work towards making it an investment center. Of course, we cannot fully convert the entire IT department into investment center. It will continue as a combination of cost center and investment center. Imagine the time when all the organizations wait for the .com boom. So the entire development of their .com websites, that is the investment center. That is the time IT department helps business to come to the to innovate, and IT department came to the forefront. So that is one example that IT departments have done in the past. Business should also be more dependent on IT, and they will be dependent if they realize that IT is provided them many automated solutions. So the changing trend is we will step into the next generation of IT revolution. What is the rationale to change the trend? Kind of, I discussed this, I touched upon this when I started the conversation. IT departments are reaching a saturation level to add the value to the business. And like all practices, all streams, the IT department also need to rejuvenate the reason for existence. As we are progressing through the time, the IT departments are also getting a lot of pressure from the business to reduce the cost. And if IT departments do not add additional values, it will continue, and the budget for the IT department will also shrink. As a result, even if at some point of time IT department wants to deliver something innovative, won't be able to deliver. So better IT department takes the initiative and make themselves indispensable and make themselves important to the business. Keep it in mind, business actually is hungry for the IT-based ideas or innovations. So as long as IT departments will continue providing that, so business will appreciate that. Now here is a story for you. John, he is an IT director. He every day passes by the finance department because his desk is somewhere near to them, and he hears the executives talking about painful experience they go through during the tax filing time when they need to file tax for their company. So John started thinking what to do. And remember, nobody actually approached John that, okay, can you help us or can you do something? After 1 month, John came around them and said that, I think 50% of your team can enjoy vacation this time when you are going to file the tax. So they were surprised. And they said, how? So John told them, give me another 3 months, I will show you. Give me a couple of your tax forms, I'll come back to you after 3 months. So what he did, he went through, he and his team went through the tax filing forms, and they found out many of them can be automated by fetching the data from different databases. The manual activities that business or finance department are doing, it's not required to do. Only a few things where they need to use their discretion, need to keep it blank. So after 3 months, he came back to them giving this functionality, giving this application where finance department got their tax forms almost filled up, and only a few things are left with them. After 7 months, he came back with most of the tax forms filled up with 80% of the sections, and all the finance department need to do is to review them and also fill up certain things where they need to use their own discretion rather than relying on the database data. As a result, as John promised, the finance department and many of their people could relax during that time. They could continue working on other value-added activities rather than only filling up the tax forms, and they really appreciated that. And as I mentioned, that business did not ask IT to develop this, but John understood the pain and changed the business for them. In a miniature form, this is something IT departments can do to keep themselves important in the business organization. In order to take it up at a higher level or across the IT organization, what we need to do, and that has to come from the leadership level. When I say leadership level, from the IT directors, from the CIO. So let us look at the roadmap to make these changes. Of course, the CIO and IT directors need to discuss with business and propose something, and let them come as an observer in different business strategy discussions. Because once the IT participates in strategy discussion, then only they can come forward with the new suggestions from their own experience, and they can help the business. So if you look at the top left corner of this roadmap, the proposal is IT directors and CIO participate in some strategic business discussion only as observer, so that they understand the business goal better. Once they come back from those discussions, the IT teams can bring out some of the industry best practices and put their thoughts and start thinking how IT departments can help directly to the business. They integrated some of the technical proposal for the new product or service launch that business are planning to do. And of course, the good proposals should go through business, should appreciate that. So this is the year one plan, and at the end of the year one, you review the merit of inviting IT into the business strategy discussion. So both the CIO and his team and the business leadership team look at that and determine whether it's going to be a norm going forward or not. So the question is how CIOs would step up to establish IT into the new role. So we are on the halfway here. And how IT directors would understand the business goal. In the first year in this exercise, IT directors must have started understanding the business goal, and to make it permanent, now decision is made to partner with IT for joint strategy discussion. So I'm showing the arrow here. As a result, IT department launches some new section for market research, because IT departments need to keep themselves updated what's going on. Whatever activities they are doing now, based on that they may not be able to help business better. So the funds are allocated for the additional research to understand the technology trend in the market. And going forward, second year or third year onwards, the IT directors and CIO participates as a full member for business strategy discussion board, where they can also express what do they feel, how things should be taken forward. So to summarize the roadmap, IT team under the CIO leadership need to make a plan. They need to sell it to the business leadership team. They are the stakeholders to buy the plan. Of course, it is difficult to prove the plan. However, the IT department needs to sell it. I need to convince the business department's business leadership team that how their plan can be successful. To start with, better to take small steps to prove their bigger plan. When people get convinced, that is the time they go for big bang approach and establish in the whole organization. I'm looking at around 1 to 3 years of time frame to establish this model for any IT organization in their business. Question is, by now you must be asking, have we seen this before? Yes. All revolutions in IT, for example, when the World Wide Web came up, when the .com boom came up, when the ERP solutions started transforming the business, all these things were for IT to expedite their business process, to do the cost saving for the business, and all these things were done by IT. The difference is probably the product companies of the ERP solutions or the .com products, they made a selling and IT departments sold it to the business. What is different today is that IT departments themselves need to be more enthusiastic and should be more dynamic and sell it to the business. Otherwise, IT departments will continue as a non-important organizations. Of course, the software product companies from outside will start directly selling to the business, whereas I feel the IT departments can take a real decision-making position, because they know the software products better, they know their own business better, and that way the business will also have the right products established for their business. In doing these activities, when proposing these activities, do we have challenges? Definitely we'll have the challenges, because there would be friction between the IT departments and the business. And for the best interest of the business, I'm not saying now for the best interest of the IT, but best interest of the business, it needs to be overcome. So what are the challenges? The conventional mindset and skill gap in the IT department. As I mentioned, when we are doing certain activities, we are supporting certain applications, we are developing certain applications, the IT department personnel are focused on those technologies, their expertise are limited there, and also they probably hardly bother about understanding the business more than they require to deliver their projects to support their applications. So here the CIO needs to come and work for the change management. We need to invest for the industry research and training so that the IT personnel are ahead of the technology that are already deployed in their organization. They should know what is going on in the market, and in our current business, what can be applicable. So they know the technology. Now, when they want to apply and they want to make an informed and educated decision that if this should be applicable to our business line, in that case, they also need to understand their own business. So they need to have the collaboration with business for their own product and service training. So that's how they will be able to do the liaison between the technology and business. There will be apprehension from business leadership team. Product service or training would ensure that the IT team's business understanding is up to the mark, because their apprehension would be, if IT department doesn't know our business, how do they help us? How do they help to take the new strategy, to give input to our strategy? And the product and service design team, which necessarily would come from the business, they need to be the end-to-end design owner, not the IT. So this is how we address the apprehension of the business leadership team. So this answers who should finalize the decision, business or IT. Also, IT directors may recommend using fancy uses of technology rather than focusing on business growth. How do we address this? As I mentioned, we need to go through the change management where business and IT team needs to work collaboratively. And that is how the IT departments need to take a very educated decision that it is not that I know this technology and apply it on the business. If it is fruitful and cost-effective solution, then only I propose this to the business. The third challenge is the financial budget for the new role of IT. As I mentioned, like IT departments need to be ahead of their own area. So they need to learn the new things, and for that we need investment. So that needs to be done. That needs to be taken care by the leadership team, by both IT and business. And fourth is the harmony in taking decision. So when IT and business get together, there may be rough weathers to take the decision, like what can be applied, what IT is suggesting that is right or wrong. So for the first challenge I mentioned about the CIO taking the change management, so that change management needs to be extended now between IT and business group, so that people understand that what is the goal here and what's going to happen, how it's going to benefit people. By now you must be thinking, do we have case studies or models where IT can take the effective role? Well, I mentioned about certain scenario where IT or the software product companies have built the business to progress their business, to make it cost effective, to make it more profitable. And in today's scenario, I am asking that IT department need to take that kind of role. Many IT companies have already, many IT organizations have already started taking that role, but it is not all over the industry. So instead of saying this as a case study, we come up with the futuristic model. What can be the would-be case study? So let's look at some of them. Whenever you buy an electronics product, be it a camera or a smartphone or any kind of high-tech electronic models, it may be a television set, you may have seen that we need to do an online product registration. So that much is done. Now it is also important to collect the feedback from the customer to address the existing product issues and getting the new ideas. So there are two things as I am mentioning here. One is what is your current issue, and when I start using one product, I also come up with my ideas. I think if this feature would have been in my gadget, it would have been better. So today, the product registration is done separately, and the collection of feedback is also done separately for most of the organizations. Now, we are thinking of a scenario where the IT department in an electronics manufacturer company proposed to develop a system to collect the customer expectation feedback at the time of registration, or when you do the new product offer, or when you are offering them an extended warranty. What do we get here? This saves the valuable time where the business need to spend additional time in the market for the research and all those things. And it also helps the customer relationship management system and product lifecycle management system to bind it together, to integrate it together. So now what is unique here in this futuristic model? Such proposals may not often come from the business, as they may not be aware of the integration possibility. And in this scenario, when IT understands how business is working and they understand what wonders I can do using my IT skill, IT can come back to business, hey, can you do these things? And then business probably immediately pick it up and say, yes, I think it's a brilliant idea, let's go for it. So this is a model that we are thinking of, where unless IT thinks proactively, they want to make themselves important to the business, they want to participate in the strategy definition, and they want to contribute to the product development. Unless they do those things, they will not come up with this unique value proposition. Otherwise, in a conventional way, okay, whatever requirement we get from the business, we just implement it. In that case, business also work in a normal way. They will not get great benefits if IT start thinking in the forefront. Let's look at the second one. Today in India as well as in North America or Europe, we order online many things. It can be of any commodity. It can be electronic gadgets, it can be a grocery, it can be any furniture items, household items. And the biggest pain today is that how long I need to wait to receive the item at home. So you must have seen in Europe and America, one way people avoid this kind of inconvenience is that probably you collect from the nearby stores. One of the internet retailer has started this concept in India as well. Just last week I saw the news. Also, they are planning to use drones in America to deliver the items to the end customer. Now think of a situation. When you go to the bus stop, you see using the satellite navigation system, they give you the real-time information that how many minutes your bus is away from you, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, even it predicts up to the 2 minutes and 1 minute. When the IT personnel think about it, they can think about implementing this technology for this delivery system. So let's say today the package is supposed to arrive at my home. So if the satellite system tracks the delivery truck and feed the information into the backend, which comes on your website, and you can track it on the website that well, this is 2 hours away from my location. That is a way the end customer can make their plan very smartly. So it's not that he or she needs to take off from their office or make it work from home. So they know that it's going to arrive towards the evening. They do all the activities and come back probably 1 hour before the delivery and accept it. What is the value add? The customer delight, less number of call to the customer care center like when my delivery will arrive, where usually we hear that it will arrive between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock today, what definitely customer doesn't like. No last minute surprise to the customer, and by providing such facilities, probably customer will come back to the same organization again and again, and that means more business. So what is the uniqueness here? Usually the selling is done by the internet selling company, and in terms of tracking the delivery, they have a low-level integration with all logistic companies. One of the reasons is the IT departments are not integrated here because two are different companies. So the IT department, if they start thinking in a proactive way and propose this to the parent company, that you involve your logistic companies, you ask your logistic companies to implement this thing, then this can be implemented. Otherwise, probably the business will not even think about it. On the other way, even the IT department, the logistic company also come up with that kind of proposition that we can attract more internet selling companies to use our logistic companies because we provide this kind of service for their end customer. So that is the uniqueness, and unless IT start going to the forefront, this kind of thing we will not be able to see. We'll see the third and the last futuristic model here. Nowadays, many of us buy the smartphones. And to be frank, probably nowadays it's very difficult to get a normal handset cell phones. All we get touchscreen smartphones at a cheaper price. Now the irony is, many of the customers probably don't know how to use maximum of their features, and it is so difficult for them to understand from the manual. Even nowadays manuals are also not available as a handout. You need to have a computer and have a PDF and go through the PDF. So one of the IT organization come up with a proposal that let's make it an interactive session for the end customer, where with the different options the end customer can go and tell business, not business, I'm sorry, to the internet interacting feature or some application that how do I use this thing, or this is the problem I am facing. Usually the business and IT together will be able to predict what kind of problems typically the users will be facing and what kind of yes and no logic need to be implemented. And this interactive application, if it is made available over the internet for the users, they can use it themselves. They don't need to make any call to the call center. They don't need to go outside. So there will be more educated users of the smartphone, and they will appreciate that much better, and that will increase the business of the smartphone better. Again, value adds are customer delight, less number of calls to the customer care center, no last minute surprise to the customer, and more business. What is the uniqueness here? Business might not have thought about such idea because they don't know what is possible through IT. And these are the typical areas where IT needs to take the control of the features than the main product departments, because these are the things usually IT departments work with. So from these three futuristic models or future case studies, we get an answer what areas can IT team participate to define the business strategy. So we talked about three of them, and when IT departments start taking proactive measures and start taking a holistic plan, there will be plenty of it. There will be thousands of such models where business would be benefited from this. Coming to the summary page, what we are trying to convey in this webinar, that information technology has come to a point where we'll need to bring the next phase of revolution in the business world. Information technology still has more to offer than business people think. It's not going to be any more requirement gathering. It's going to be requirement introspection, like the example I gave for John, who came up with the tax filing automation forms, and also various other case studies we spoke about. IT is not going to be a support center for business. It's going to be a research laboratory to partner with for them. Those who will progress will have the best information technology experts with them. Of course, the conventional IT roles, as we spoke about, they are continue as usual. And this change of mindset will make IT important, will make IT to go for another 10 years or 20 years and make it a new era in the information technology. The countdown begins today. Thank you so much for attending the session. And as the format of this webinar session, we can go for the question answer session.
Thanks for the insightful presentation. Let's quickly take up the questions now. I would have to request you to read out the questions aloud so that our users may listen to your insights.
Sir, I am not able to see anything at this moment. Yeah, I can see the first one. Where can we get the knowledge about new IT technical news, service, products, models, new arrivals? Please list out some of the websites. Well, very good question. Whatever technology you are working on, if you go through various subscribe various websites, or if you subscribe various journals, you will get that. For example, those who are working in ERP or SAP, definitely the SAP Press or even sdn.sap.com would also give you the insight of what SAP is coming up with. You can also look at Forbes magazine. Even we should go for various publications that TechGig is doing. Like if you go through the various TechGig headlines, you will see the summary of various other journals, what they are publishing. Thank you. We can go for the next question. What is the scope of IT department? Very good question. As I mentioned, IT department will limit themselves in providing IT solution. And the objective of this webinar, what we set forward here is that need to step up, need to go extra miles and understand the business ahead of business telling us, and then provide them the IT solution. So it is going to be information technology solution, that is various automation of the business information, business data. So that remains the scope of IT department. Thank you. We can go for the next question. What framework or business skills are required to successfully identify business needs for IT enhancement? There is no specific rule for this. However, if I am working for a retail industry, in the IT departments of retail industry, then I should have the knowledge of retail business. If I'm working in the IT department of high-tech industry, then I should have the knowledge of high-tech industry. What is the framework? Either I have the past experience before joining the IT, or I can have my Master of Business Administration degree, or I can even go for any kind of a part-time training. And what I have proposed here is that business themselves coming up and providing training to the IT personnel so that the specific business requirement and the thoughts, the thinking process are imparted into the IT personnel. Thank you. We can go for the next question. Can IT adopt method of chargeback? This will make shift over of IT from cost center to profit center. I think various IT departments are already doing it. Yes, IT can adopt the method of chargeback. However, it completely depends on the policy that is taken between the CEO, CFO and CIO. But definitely this is a possibility, and many organizations are doing that. We are doing a lot of this in our organization. However, the challenge we face is acceptance from user, since it is mostly IT which drives such projects and not business driven. Any suggestions? One of the section I mentioned about the change management, or rather extended change management that needs to be driven between the IT and business. Yes, I do agree, and I realize that this is a challenge almost in all organizations, and change management, education drive across IT and business would eradicate this problem. We are seeing IT roles being created within the business units, and the IT department scope is limited to infrastructure service only. What are your views, suggestions? I agree with this observation, and that is the reason I came up with this webinar topic, that unless IT start being proactive and start thinking on the forefront, this will continue. And when the IT roles are created within the business units, that doesn't help business because there is no centralized control over that. So again, the answer is IT departments need to go to the forefront and understand why business is doing this. Because today probably we discuss certain generic areas, and in a particular organization there may be very specific reasons why business is doing that, and address that and ask business that if they don't come to the centralized IT solution, then what are the problems they would be facing. Definitely they are going to face problem because at some point of time they will not have expertise to expand, enhance that application or support that application, and that is the time business only will suffer. IT department is generally for internal IT tasks of any organization. How can it extend their scope externally without any requirement? Okay, the question is not clear whether you are challenging the concept in the webinar or you are generally asking the question. If you are challenging the concept of the webinar, then I would say we are not proposing to expand it outside or expand it externally. We are proposing that IT department should go forward, discuss with business and bring IT department into the forefront and being on top of the business strategy definitions. And if it is a general question that how can it extend their scope externally without any requirement, I'm not sure, that's probably not relevant in this today's discussion. We can go for the next question. How can IT department move from a cost center to revenue center in industries like financial services? Well, it's a very specific question. We probably need to have another session on this. However, this is something probably a roadmap needs to be worked out between IT and financial, IT and business and the financial services. Come up with the plan. First of all, look at the feasibility. Definitely, it can be. Explore the options, exploit different options, and come up with the plan. It's very difficult to answer in one line. It is required to have a separate session on this.
While we wait for the questions to come in, would you like to talk a little about the topic that you are speaking for the presentation today?
All right. Yeah, mainly the reason I selected this topic, because in my experience in last 6 to 8 years, I have been noticing that IT is becoming kind of a, as I mentioned, stereotype. So you get the requirement from the business and deliver it. And it is getting very difficult to get the appreciation from business. Wherever we go, probably business is saying, well, but this is something IT cannot deliver. And these are the areas, many places wherever I have worked, I launched some kind of education process between business and IT so that IT personnel understand the business better and do not wait for the requirement to come and propose the solution. And many areas it has been appreciated. Whether it has been implemented or not implemented, that depends on the budget, but it has been appreciated, and this is something definitely business wants. For example, when I go to visit a doctor, doctor probably suggests me a lot of things. They ask me and suggest me a lot of things. It's not that I ask the doctor, what is that you are required to do it for me. So I probably come with this problem, and then doctor find out, okay, how do you change your lifestyle? Okay, by the way, I think you also have this problem, and this is what you should do. So IT department needs to take that kind of professional consulting role here, and that is the message that I am trying to convey. I guess we don't have any more questions.
Yes, I think you have given a pretty good presentation. So the audience has received all the answers which they have posted already. So any closing lines before we close the session for today, Amlesh? That would be great if you can do it now.
All right. So I request all of you, if you have appreciated my vision, to think in this line in your own organizations, whether you are working for a service IT company or you are already inside the IT organizations, to think from that line. To implement this, we really don't need to be the CIO or IT director. At our own capability, whenever we interact with business, we can take a baby step and we can implement these things. And definitely those who are at a decision-making position, they can make a bigger decision and make the whole change. Thank you very much for joining the webinar. I really enjoyed the questions that came to me, and I understand from the questions that you have started definitely thinking in this line. Thank you so much.
And I'm really thankful to our guest speaker for conducting this wonderful webinar. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Amlesh, for taking the time out and having us. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.